When I was a kid, Mum used to tell me off for not listening, not paying attention. Uh, it was always a case of, Julie, listen to what I'm saying. And then Mum realised that I could not hear very well. My sisters always used to tease me, but sisters are like that. And then when I was going through school and I had lots of difficulty, and I moved from the back of the classroom to the front of the classroom, and that helped a bit. And then when I got glasses, that helped a bit. But it was always a case of not hearing what other people would hear. And as I got older, I discovered that there was not the same ability to hear that other people had. But to me, it was normal that everything was, you didn't hear music very well, you didn't hear normal sounds very well, but that was normal. So you just got on with things. I had a lot of difficulties before I got hearing aids that, to me, you'd go to a restaurant and you'd only speak to the person next to you or maybe across the table, but couldn't really hear what they were saying. So you go, oh yes, and you have no idea what they were saying to you. In a work situation, quite often that I discovered quite lately that people thought I was being a little bit aloof. They had no idea I couldn't hear what they were saying. And sometimes people would call me a snob because I just didn't talk to them and I didn't realise they were actually speaking to me. I had no idea that was going on. So everyday noises, television was an absolute bugger. Television was an absolute pain because other people would be in the room and they'd tell me I have the television on very, very loudly. Yet to me, it was normal. And I'd have it up on 50, and I thought 50 was normal. And then I discovered, no, that's not normal. So everyday things would happen. Can never hear announcements at the radio, on the train station, couldn't hear announcements on the tram, and I'd ask someone else what was being said. So it was, again, a lot of things I had no idea that I was missing out on until someone would say, excuse me, but didn't you hear that? And I say, no, what are you talking about? The hearing aids really made a difference to my life, made the problems that were overcome, everything from listening to the music clearly for the first time in my life. I got my good old trusty streamer, and that meant I could put the cord directly in to listen to music. Songs that I heard in the 70s and the 60s, and I hate to admit it, in the 50s, I would hear them, but they were the old thump, thump, thump noises. But I could hear, all of a sudden, I could hear noises, the music. Well, it was absolutely wonderful. Another time at work, I was standing there and I said to a friend, my God, listen to the bluebells. Not bluebells. Gosh, what do you call them? The very musical birds. And I'd never heard them. And she said, they've always been here. So in other words, they were there. I hadn't heard them. All of a sudden with my hearing aids, a lot of problems were overcome with my hearing aids. From when I was a kid, I would hear the music in the 70s, the 60s and the 50s, and it'd be thump-thump sort of music, and I wouldn't really hear it. I'd feel it more than anything else. And suddenly with my trusty streamer, I found that because I could connect up the music to the streamer, I would hear it directly in my ears, and I would hear music really well and not just background noises. So many other things, bluebells, I can't remember the name of it again, the birds, and such a pure note, and I'd never heard it before. And I was saying to a friend of mine, gee, that's beautiful, they've suddenly come, and she said, they've always been here, Julie. So I was hearing things I hadn't heard. I was hearing sounds sometimes I didn't want to sound, people in the background, and that was because I used to think that it was here. That's all you could hear, and I've discovered it's now here. You can hear so much more. Traffic lights, I can actually hear the sound of when you can cross. So there are lots of other things I can hear. In meetings, I'm hearing comments all around that when there's a cross discussion from one person to another in so many different ways, I'm hearing things I had never heard before. And it's not only hearing things that's so wonderful, and it's an awareness of what there is. And shucks, I missed out on it, but who cares? I've got them now.
That's good. what about in restaurants? And
That can be quite interesting. I have discovered that, I'll just sidetrack a bit. When I'm at the movies, I actually have to turn my hearing aids down because I've discovered the music is so loud. And people say how wonderful it is I can turn the sound down using the streamer. But in restaurants, it still can be hard to hear. But I've also discovered other people have trouble hearing in a restaurant. So instead of there and just across there, it's at least 2 or 3 people I can hear the conversations. There is one thing I do find though, that at times I can hear a lot more. So I can hear the air conditioning unit, I can hear the crockery in the kitchen clattering, but I can hear so much more. So it's instead of a small area, it's so much larger area that I can hear now. With the hearing aids, I've noticed there is a different, in another level, quality of life. I love my family dearly, but I know they were getting so frustrated with me because I wasn't hearing things. Now all of a sudden, they know I can hear a lot more. They don't get grumpy with me. It's always a good thing with family. But it's also with other people I have discovered that they will speak to me. And whereas I was doing what I suppose was a lot of lip reading, I can now look away. Oh, right. Just have a general conversation instead of staring directly at them. I can look around and wonderful other things. But I do get sidetracked at times because I'll hear something, I think, oh, that was a birdie, or that was a cat, or that was a dog. But it does increase better your quality of life. I found with other people when I discover they can't hear too well. And when you're a person who can't hear too well, you discover the signs in other people. I do it now myself even. You put your ear to one side to hear a bit better. When I see people doing that, I will speak directly to them. And if I know that someone I know, that they're having problems, I'll say, listen mate, it's about time you did something about it. I go heavily into denial. I'm over it. I will say straight out to you, don't put up with second-class existence. Get out there, do something about it, because the longer you wait, the worse it can get. And what I mean by that is because I made the mistake of not coming in originally and having something done. So my hearing could be a bit better, but it's still a lot better than it was. So I will say to someone, come on, do something about it. I'll give you the name of my audiologist. If you don't want to go to them, that's fine. But please do something about it, because you don't want to stuff your hearing up. Putting it bluntly, that's what happens. You get to that level and your body won't improve on it anymore. So it goes down all the time. So do something straight away, please. I found that when I went into the audiology area, let me rephrase that, when I came across ear and hearing, I'd had a really bad day at work. Someone was so rude to me. I felt dreadful. And I just happened to be walking past ear and hearing, and I went in purely because I was in a bad mood. Went in there, chap behind the desk, Graham, he was so helpful. I said to him I had had my ears tested, my hearing tested at Princess Street, and he said, hang on a moment. And he went out the back, and within 2 minutes he came out and he had my records. Now, 5 years before that, or however many years, I had gone in there and I thought, no, can't be bothered, too expensive. But this time when I went back in, Graham was so helpful, had the record, and he said to me, just a minute, and he went into Mo. I had no escape, I had no excuse, I was seen by Mo straight away. Mo very kindly went through things, explained it, and I think it was on a Friday, and he said that he would come in on a Saturday, which he didn't normally do, gave me the hearing test. It took a long while, explained things to me, so to the point where I felt totally comfortable, knew what it was. He explained to me if I continued not doing anything, that things would only get worse, to be honest. And when I decided to get the hearing aids, I decided on the spot. I will say something, and that is that I made a choice. You can get the lower level, which is the equivalent of a manual car. You can get the top level, which is the equivalent of a fancy car with bells and whistles. If you can, go with the bells and whistles, because don't go for one hearing aid, go for two. It makes so much difference. I am sidetracking, but what I mean by that is I had things explained to me very, very clearly. I have gone back constantly when something's not, it'll be okay, but I'm not sure. So I needed that reassurance. I got reassurance from Mo. I got reassurance from the girls behind the desk. I'd call up, they know who I am. If I need batteries, no problems, they'll mail them out to me. I have had a wonderful experience. I'm not used to telling people how wonderful other people are, but in this case, it definitely is a case that